Okay, listeners, we have a special guest joining us for our next segment as we start thinking about warmer weather, vacation planning, Summer Olympics, and more. I'm thrilled to welcome Alice Ann Clark from British Swim Schools here in Roanoke, Virginia. Alice Ann, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Liz. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I can't wait to talk about all things swimming because that is something that I need to improve on. So I'm excited to learn more about this.
You'll have to come swim with us.
I'm excited to learn that adults can do this too. So
sure.
We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But I want to talk about the important questions about swim lessons because this is something that obviously requires a lifeguard and somebody on duty and making sure that you're safe at all times. And of course, with summer on the horizon, vacation planning coming up, it's the perfect time to discuss the benefits of learning to swim.
It is. And that's a great segue because the ability to know what to look for in a swim lesson, just like other activities and other curriculums, I feel strongly about it, that you want to make sure it's the right fit for you and for your family, whether it's you looking for lessons or for a little one, what your goals are, expectations, the facility, etc. We really encourage our families to do their research and to take a look around. And we have, we just have a really great program, but also we have other programs in town too, that we want to make sure that everyone finds a great fit for them. We're biased. We think we're the best.
Obviously.
But, naturally. But I do think that that's the beauty of having competitors and a really strong swim presence in Southwest Virginia. We have really great swimmers that go D1. We have wonderful Olympic trials coming up, some swimmers who are from Roanoke. So we're super proud to be here.
Yeah. And again, we'll talk about the Olympics in a minute, but in thinking about, the kids who get to see this on TV or seeing, their siblings or family swimming in high school and things like that, that is where that inspiration begins. So you got to start with your safety, and it starts at every age. So I'm thinking about this time of year. It's really interesting because, again, it's February. It's a February episode. So I know it feels like, we're thinking about summer already. But this is the perfect time to start your swimming considerations, yes?
100%.
Okay.
So we like to say just like reading or learning to drive or anything, walking, development, any sort of learning process, it takes time. And we don't want to rush ours. Ours is gentle and progressive. We really encourage our instructors to connect with their swimmers and students, no matter the age. And so that connection, that relationship is really the foundation of learning. And it's fun and it's encouraging, but it's also a hard skill. So we want to make sure that they have time to learn and love it, and those happen at the same time for us. So it's not a challenge before connection. It's really that connection that leads to a challenge. And like you said, February is a great time to start. I'm biased. I'd say September is a great time to start.
Year round for you.
But the beauty is you can join us anytime. So we're open enrollment. We enroll daily, weekly, and that gets you started whenever you're ready. And we like to say whenever you start to think about it, or maybe you have a little bit of anxiety for yourself or for others, that's when you should look for lessons.
That's a good call. And so especially, survival swim skills, especially for young kids, are really crucial because some of us, we just want to swim for the fun of it, maybe not necessarily for the Olympics. But of course, we need to think about why the skills are so important and how they differ from traditional swimming lessons.
100%. So that's a great point. The survival piece is usually brought up in maybe a time where you realize, we're going on vacation, or our parents have a pool rented, or we're going to the lake, or we live right by Smith Mountain Lake. But there's also water safety everywhere. The bathtub, toilets, anywhere there's honestly 2 inches or more of water can pose a drowning risk. And that is really scary if you don't know the education or the empowering knowledge to be empowered versus fearful, to be honest. And our skills to be able to jump in, roll over and float, call for help, and backstroke to safety start on day one. So we're doing back floats with as young as 3 months old, getting them used to that position, realizing that the water actually holds up their body. Our hand holds, our skills that we teach really focus on that muscle memory so that they get it right from the jump. So even if they're not speaking, maybe they're not walking, maybe it doesn't seem like that learning is really possible. I'm a former educator and I love everything development, so that, I love kind of empowering parents and non-parents to know that everyone's learning, every observation, every intake of, all these environmental factors, that's learning. So we like to say we're social, but in a small group setting, and that survival skill starts on day one with us.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So, me as a full-grown adult, I'm not a strong swimmer. I love it. I think it's great. But I need lessons in making sure that I have more than just my life vest, right, at hand. And so I think that's really interesting. I love that you're covering all sorts of age groups. Can you share a little more about that? Because when I heard about it, I was like, oh, what a great program for kids. And then, oh, wait a minute, I can sign up for this. How
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. So the ability-based versus age-based is really important for us. So we like to say we meet someone where they are, no matter their age. And we have ability groups where we have adaptive aquatics. For special abilities, we have a young adult program for any age, usually between 10 to 18 or 13 to 18. They may not be a great fit for our younger classes. And because we're ability based,
Sure.
we know that they may feel better with a teenage group and a peer group, as well as adults. We have some swimmers who are as young as 22 and as old as 85. From our
Love it.
actually our beautiful facility over at Brandon Oaks on their retirement campus. We had a senior swimming with us, and that was amazing to see that our lesson works for everyone when we meet them where they are. Our curriculum is pretty strict in the sense that we have really research-based techniques, but getting to know the person, and an adult specifically, we get to talk with them, converse with them. What are your goals? What are your fears? Maybe tell me about an experience you had that brought you here today.
Oh, interesting.
Positive or negative.
I love that you're making it really personalized. It's not just, we're going to throw you in the water and see what happens.
Some of us had that experience where
Yeah, me too.
thinking back on my own, like, how did I learn to swim? I think I just was thrown to the swim team at like age 5 or something.
Yeah.
They assumed that was going to be successful, and luckily it was.
Right.
But luck, I think. And that too, that our kind of the beauty of it, and again, I'm biased, is that we have a curriculum that's founded, and it's a 40-year-old program from Great Britain, from Manchester originally, hence the name. But it also is personalized with each instructor. Our instructors are trained through a 40-hour training course that we do, that we get to say we stamp the approval, we do ongoing in-services, we do professional development, all sorts of personalities. It's diverse, it's in age and interest and personality style, but finding that fit for the right student, we like to say that that's where the success comes from.
Yeah.
The personalized piece, the human connection, and then the skills and the challenge comes next.
Yeah.
All the way through stroke development. So that's the cool part too, is then if they become a safer swimmer, we get to celebrate them. We do an on-deck celebration. They get a picture. We get to really kind of show them off at the pool. And then they come back the next week in that new level right away. So they get to then learn the 4 strokes and get stronger and you find endurance, etc.
And I love that it's, swimming is, again, you don't just jump in the pool and run, swim with it, right? And it's sort of like training for a marathon or strength training and going, you really have these levels that you have to accomplish before you can just suddenly be the best at the top.
Definitely. That growth trajectory is also one of my favorite pieces of it, is helping parents understand that good days and bad days happen at the pool too. Good days and bad days happen. We have, some skills regress due to developmental changes. So all of a sudden a student's learning to read, or they are super tired after another practice. We do some cross training and some athletes that come after practice. This is another thing. So that leads to exhaustion. And so we say, but that's realistic. That's real life, and that happens. And we're here to meet them where they are, every practice, every lesson. And with that, hopefully we're also giving the parents a real support system where they get to come and say, man, wow, okay, I see their growth. I'm wondering why this regression is, happening, or what am I doing wrong? And helping them realize nothing. This is all part of learning, and just like in school and in other environments, we get to be that real expert for them.
I love that you allow for regression, because whatever capacity, they're going to be
reality.
okay. It's reality. I love that you address that in a realistic fashion.
Yeah.
I want to go back to, I want to shine a light on your staff and your people who are helping, because I find that so fascinating. Like, I'm sure that, again, you've mentioned diverse across, age groups and experiences. Like, how do you find those folks? How do those folks find you and get to be part of a team like that?
Great question. I love our staff. That is truly like my joy. It's what I spend my time on. My aquatics manager is phenomenal. He had a background in both competitive swim and lifeguarding and pool management, aquatics management for a camp, and classroom experience. So he's our director of all things aquatics.
Yeah, sounds like he really knows his stuff.
He is. He does. And so then he and I help cultivate hopefully an environment that our staff wants to come to work, that they feel supported, that they feel like they have a camaraderie, they have a sense of social aspect, but also we have high standards. We have a professionalism and a core value set that really we embody every day, every shift, and that hopefully they see a modeled experience from their managers and supervisors. And then they also get to model it for their swimmers and their kids and their lesson learners. And then the environment too is professional and welcoming. That's a really big community aspect for us. So we find them everywhere we do job fairs. We head out to local, we're at VWCC a couple times a year. We actually, Hollins has sent us a few really great students, which is awesome, Roanoke College. So we have everyone from students to actual teachers who are in the classroom during the day, professionals, and everything in between. Swim experience or not, which is cool because we teach the front to back.
That's interesting too, because I love that your aquatics is essentially, he's the guy, right? He knows everything. But I love that you've just mentioned that you might not necessarily have a background of lifeguarding every summer since you were 14, Totally. It's interesting.
And that I feel like in my own trajectory career-wise, I like to try new things. I found that I, would volunteer for something that I said, well, I don't have experience, but you said you could teach me, so I'm all game. I'd love to.
Sometimes how it happens, right?
Yeah. And that I enjoyed that, and I feel like I've learned so many skills and different experiences that I either was good at, it was a forte, or not.
Yeah.
So we like to present that, and honestly, we hire on core values, and that really helps us see, are they a good fit? They have to do with our caring, accountability, passion, perseverance. We like to make sure that those pieces are there because that's non-negotiable.
Right. You have a responsibility when you're in the pool, in the swimming area.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that commitment to learning and that, ability to be a part of a team and then learn continually. We have a high standard too, where just because you made it through training doesn't mean you're never going to learn a new thing. And that too, that's what makes us want to come to work. We always joke that we get to build a team and we want to make sure we want to be where the team is. Yeah. That's, the beauty of being a manager and a hiring manager. So, we've loved it. The staffing piece has been really a great joy. And I think hopefully as we grow, we're hopefully going to be out at Smith Mountain Lake as soon as the summer and Botetourt. So we'll be needing more and more staff and really quality hires. So send anyone our way.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. And you guys, let's talk about your growth for a minute because so you mentioned before we started that you're from LA.
Yes.
And so
from here, but we lived in LA
okay. Well, welcome back. We're so glad to have you. So when you came back, what was it that you said, I got to do this? And now not only just the one space, but you're growing exponentially, it sounds like.
Yeah. Good question. So I was in education and I did consulting and all sorts of support for families and parents outside of the school setting, working for myself, whatever they needed. So I felt like I could help students and families in ways that their schools or even other aspects just couldn't. And that was like my pride and joy. And when we returned to Roanoke, I had my second daughter and was looking for swim lessons. And the programs that were here were fine. They just didn't have any space. COVID created a total vacuum for all sorts of experiences. Sure. And so coming out of years of no lessons or even a shortened year of lessons, there was a huge need. And Roanoke has grown. I'm from here, but I hadn't lived here in 18 years.
Yeah, a little culture shock coming home.
Yeah, so it was like, wow, this is, super, super excited where Roanoke's headed and so happy to be back. And on the flip side, there are a lot of things that haven't necessarily grown with the population. So I noticed, okay, well, I know that in addition to swimming, there were some other pieces that I thought, wow, the family support network has so much potential here. And I was eager for that, being a new parent back home and not a ton of connections or friends still here, felt really energized by that need and felt like I could fill a need, to be honest.
I love that you're providing a really wonderful resource for people, but you're also creating community.
Yeah. That piece for me is everything. That's how I spend my free time.
It tends to be for Roanokers, which I really like.
Yeah,
you find yourself a community, and all of a sudden you're like 5 years in, you're like, wow, I didn't even realize this was happening until it happened.
I agree, and that gives me such energy and is so important in my personal life, professional life, that to be able to provide that for other families, professionals, to be a water safety expert for local media, for schools. We have a free water safety presentation that we provide in basically for those who anyone, parent, caregiver, professional, school, what's the word? Administration, teachers, teams of anyone who's looking for extra information. We get to provide our water safety presentation, and that feels like we can do that for free, and that's our gift to the community is knowledge.
And you've listed, when you mentioned back in the first part of the interview, bathtub safety. Like, I have a dog, I don't have kids, so, for me, I don't even think about that. But like, how critical, that's pretty important for you to know when you're at home and something were to happen, or you just need to know what to do. Like, that's really, really important. So it's not just about being in a pool or being in the lake. I mean, this is in your own home, in your own safe space, where you might not think something like that could happen.
Totally. Well, January was Bathtub Safety Month.
Oh, okay.
So that piece is kind of intertwined with Water Safety Month coming up in May. And really those, as silly as those national days or months get, at this point we have like a national day for cookies.
Yeah. I'm never saying no to a national cookie day. Give me a break.
Honestly, I'm here for that, but comical. But the Bathtub Water Safety Month, it feels like I didn't think about that twice when babysitting kids,
right?
When my own siblings and I were in the bath, when I'm an older sibling, so I have younger siblings, all of those things that you just think, wow, the knowledge is so easily transmittable. It's such an easy, here are the tips and tricks to look out for. Here's how to ask for help. Here's the things to go find. That is just the knowledge piece is huge.
It's really no different than when the fire departments are handing out helpful tips for like the baby seats in the cars, 100%. Right? Like that's what I think of immediately. But even
that's like a requirement now. It's thought of as, this is what happens when you have a baby. This is what happens when they turn 2. This is, So that's hopefully what we're doing.
So the safety there is so important just for your own benefit. Not even just in the pool, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. So are you a swimmer? I feel like that's obvious, but
I am recreationally. Okay. I joke that I'm in our Adult 3 program, actually.
Okay.
Which is great. Refining my own strokes, but I have not swam competitively since first grade.
Okay, all right.
But I have always swam. So I swam laps in grad school as stress relief. We have tons of water activities in our lives, and we're obviously at the pool every day.
Right.
But I can't claim to be a competitive swimmer.
No, but
anymore.
I love that though. Like you're not, you didn't come off the Olympics and come back home and be like, okay, we're opening up a swim school.
Right,
like this is something that you found that the region kind of needed the resource, and you found a place for yourself, that you made a community. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
And if I can be in our Adult 3 lessons with my own staff, taking direction from them, so can you.
I love that though. Like you're really experiencing it for yourself as a student, which I think is really cool. Like that's a really unique perspective that you're able to offer and say, okay, you're talking to me in the right ways, but maybe here's some critique I can give you to your staff. How interesting.
Oh yeah. Everything's a teaching moment for me.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not. They're pretty good.
I'm sure they love it. Well, that's fantastic. And so you're thinking about, you had mentioned we've talked about safety. We've talked about, you mentioned stress relief that you were swimming. So in thinking about, the overall benefits that we go swimming for. I know that when we go to the lake and we're hanging out in the lake, like that's for super fun. But what are other benefits that we can get when we do swimming? I love that you mentioned stress relief. That's so interesting.
So the few pieces that we love to highlight, especially in the winter, are immune boosting, making sure that your cardiovascular health is basically a priority. It's an amazing low impact sport.
That's key, right? I'm sorry. I wanted to focus on that for a minute because I can't do HIIT. It makes me want to cry all the time. However, swimming does not seem as intimidating on my knees, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's a lifelong sport. You can do it. Some of our pool partners have lap lanes, of course, the lanes, and there are, all ages swimming laps right next to our lessons, and they, regardless of age, they're there swimming. 30 minutes to an hour.
Right. And I love that you mentioned Brandon Oaks. I love that you're mentioning you have an 80-something-year-old student in your class. Like that's, again, the diverse population that's showing that everybody can do it.
100%.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Our mission is to ensure that every person, regardless of age or ability, has the opportunity to become a safe and happy swimmer. We recite it every huddle. We talk about it at length in our own leadership meetings, that we really believe that, and that piece for them to be happy and safe at any age is paramount for us. It really is. And so, so being able to do low impact sport year round, to have a warm, beautiful facility, both our Gator pool and our Brandon Oaks pool are phenomenal. And hopefully wherever we expand, it's also the access and the, because we're a shared economy model, the beauty of it is we can go anywhere where there are families and quality water. We're always interviewing pool partners, looking for a good fit, looking for someone who's looking to partner with a community member to impact lives, to save lives. And those partnerships have been so awesome so far. So we're excited to grow those too.
Yeah, I love that. It sounds like you have a lot of great options in the area, which I might not have thought about, like offhand.
Sure.
And of course, when you think about swimming, you are thinking about like the beach and the pools. But like, I love that you've mentioned the lake because obviously a bunch of us are up there over the summer months and making sure that you're safe and that you can get through those situations or just swim and have fun. Those are really important.
Yeah. And that, a few of those pieces too, when I started to do my research for British Swim School and when I was looking at it, I thought, oh, well, of course there are lessons all over. Let me research a little bit. Right. And there weren't, I should say. So we have lots of customers coming from Botetourt and Smith Mountain Lake and even Roanoke County, Salem, because there are just the swim lesson world. Our competitors who are great, they just, of course, had standalone facilities. So we get to be able to really meet families where they are.
Yeah, I love that you filled a gap. Yeah.
And being in Roanoke, ironically, I feel like growing up, we knew that we had to drive all over.
Right.
We drove 30 minutes for some activity and, came back in time for another activity. But now you think, we have so many great suburbs and expanding families all over the valley. Why aren't there activities and restaurants and things to do in every neighborhood?
Yeah. And I love that you're expanding. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And thinking about your success stories, I know that you haven't been with us that long in the area, but I'm thinking about the kids that are going to be growing up, taking your lessons, maybe joining the swim team on middle or high schools. Like you said, going to D1, I hope, you're really setting them on a path for success because of course, swimming is not just swimming, right? It's a sport. It's a sport that you're going to take a lot of lessons that you learn and apply those to your everyday outside life.
Yes, agreed. I'm so happy you said that. I think that the ability to especially overcome a fear or anxiety. We have so many young swimmers who come in super timid, which is totally reasonable. It's a new place. It's a stranger. It's getting in water after mom said, don't go in the water. Don't go with a stranger.
Yeah, Jaws lives out there. Don't worry about it.
Right. And then it's so funny. We say like our instructors are prepped and ready and trained for any sort of attitude, reaction. The first kind of intake, even the first couple lessons for some of our swimmers can be really tough.
Sure.
And for us to be able to meet them where they are and then say, you are safe. We're not going to do anything that I don't say we're going to do or that is unsafe. And I'm here with you. You let me know when you're ready. That for me as a parent is priceless.
Sure.
And then also as an owner and being able to cultivate that community where that, peer observation, they get to watch their friends, they get to watch their peers, then they watch them graduate because every student graduates on their own at their own pace. So they say, oh, so-and-so did that.
I love that.
I can do that. Like a little competition.
I love that.
Sometimes that's helpful, especially for our siblings in the program. But I do think that ability to give them that experience and that overcoming challenges, that's priceless for life skills and, their confidence, hopefully.
So we've talked a little bit about British Swim School. What sets it apart? It really sounds like you've hit everything on the head. I love this idea that you're on your own pace and that you're not going to be kind of rushed into a graduation rate, right? Like you're really going to be able to do it where you're comfortable. That's, like you said, as a parent or, as a guardian, I think that that's really important not to stress the student out too much like that because you're already kind of stressed from school and social media and all these other things. Like this is a place where you can learn and grow, but not feel rushed into it.
100%.
Yeah.
And the flip side too is that some students come in and they are skilled and ready and they are either quick learners or they have an awareness of their body truly in the water that is natural and innate. And there's no reason to hold them back if week 2 they realize, wow, you're graduating. Well done. You've mastered all the skills. And that's
a good thing.
Right. And because, we get to say, great, you're moving on to the next. We don't want to stunt that growth either. But like you said, every student learns so differently, that can also sometimes be hard to hear, because you say, well, just give me an idea. Tell me what's the norm. And we say we don't use that word. It's every student is their own learner, and every week is different, but we'll be here progressing them regardless. So the progress is constant.
I love that,
because we can guarantee.
Yeah, they don't always necessarily have that option in other spaces of their life.
Totally.
So to be able to do that on their own. And I love, we haven't even talked about the fact that we've talked about the pool, we've talked about swimming in that regard, but this could lead to a whole love of water over your lifetime. You could go diving. You can, do all these other things, just being on a boat around the water, this is, you don't want to think just one mode, right? You're not just diving into the swimming pool and racing against somebody else and getting a medal at the end. This is really
100%.
important. Yeah, this is more than just one life skill.
100%. And to that point, our aquatics manager, Cullen, who's our star, our listeners, hopefully, who know us or have seen us, know him well. He is an avid fly fisherman. He is a boater, a lover of all things water. We have another instructor who's a surfer.
Cool.
And a diver. We love to travel. My girls spend a lot of time in the pool, obviously, and at my family's lake house, and just being able to honestly enjoy the water, taking that pressure off of the parent. I can say, as a parent who had anxiety around water myself, that totally changes vacations. It changes your mindset, and that gift to a parent or a guardian is all I can hope for.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. So the other thing I want to talk about, we talked about gold medals. You told me a really exciting thing just now. So listeners, we were thinking about the SEG, right? I'm thinking about how to work in the Summer Olympics, because obviously I'm that idiot on the couch stuffing my face with chips. So I'm like, oh, look at that guy do a dive, when, I can't put a toe in the water without seizing up. So anyway, but you told me that you're going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
This is so cool. Please tell me more about this.
So my family is full of sports fanatics. Yeah. Between gymnasts and soccer players, swimmers, runners, we love everything.
You guys
sports.
are active.
Yeah. And we also love traveling. So two ideal things. We went to Rio, and we were supposed to go to Tokyo, but that didn't end up happening.
Yeah,
But we're super excited. So both selfishly because I love competition.
Yeah.
And I love a good, fanfare and patriotism. But I also love that I get to then come back and share all of that with our swimmers and my team. And win-win all around.
That's so cool. Have you been to Paris before?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm interested actually to see how they're going to do it, because I know the facilities are all over the city, which should be interesting. The one in Rio was really well planned, and it felt really well orchestrated. Public transportation, really friendly. So we'll see. And then, being able to come back to and share that with our swimmers. And I ironically will be torn between being British or American.
I was going to ask. Okay, so
Color schemes are the same.
I hate to assume that you're just going to go to all the swim competition, right? But when you're not at the swim, what would be your favorite activity to witness?
We saw ping pong last
cool.
time.
That's a good one.
I kind of dragged my feet. I thought, I don't know, this is going to be silly. Amazing.
Got into it.
Really amazing. It's fast.
I imagine that's super competitive.
You barely see the ball. Yeah. Really, and the fanfare of it, it's really interesting.
That's so cool.
Volleyball. My husband was a volleyball player. That was really fun. Gymnastics.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing that everybody thinks. Everyone wants to see Simone on, we can't wait, right? You got to go to one of those at least. Yeah, but that's so cool.
And that too, I think that piece of kind of that invigorating competitive side, but also the fact that, our program, we have a non-competitive swim team, and as much as I love a competition and that's my personality, that's not everyone's. And to have that option for swimmers who want to be in a practice once a week, they want to be growing, strengthening, building their endurance, refining their strokes, to have that non-competitive side. We always say too, that hopefully brings all swimmers, whether they want to be that D1 athlete, future Olympian, and they're invigorated by that, and that's exciting for them. Or if it's something I don't need that pressure. Right. I want to swim.
At 20, I wanted the competition, but at nearly 40, I probably, I'm playing cozy games on my video games because I don't want to like fight the bad guy. Like, I don't really want a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So the swimming, that's what I want. I just want to like hang out, have some fun, learn some safety rules, like make sure that I can be safe in the water.
Yes.
So how awesome.
Yeah. Well, we're here.
Ah, that's really cool. And I love that you mentioned bringing back your experiences of the Olympics to your students, to your community. A, because it's just really cool to talk about.
Yeah.
And B, the fact that you're going to be able to witness world-class athletes and sort of maybe even inspire students. Again, maybe they don't want to be in the Olympics themselves, but to know that this diverse range of people who work so hard, they can do whatever it is that they put their mind to.
100%. And that they are doing the same strokes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Literally.
That's so cool.
I mean, that kind of stuff just, it lights me up. I really think that excitement nationally. I've always loved Olympic years, and whether we're there or not at the games, I think that that's such a sense of camaraderie and collective, unity that feels really special.
I totally agree.
For us to have a swim component too, it just feels so cool. And so this will be our first Olympic year in business because we've only been around a year. So
I imagine you're going to get quite a bit of interest during the Summer Olympics. You're going to get a slew of people who are like, well, wait a minute, I want to swim. That's so cool. Like,
well, we're here.
Yeah. I can't take up the
Ignore
balance
the
beam.
British.
Yeah.
I know.
I can't do the,
scratch it out.
Yeah, no, I say I can't. Ping pong is probably pretty fun. Not competitive in any way, but I love, you're probably going to get quite a few people who are like, I want to learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. And something that all ages can do. That's awesome. Okay. So the last question for you before we head out, talking about your family, eating, playing, doing in the region. Now that you're back, where are you guys going? What has been so wonderful and surprising to you since your return to Roanoke that you just got to go do it?
Great question. So I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, 2 girls. My husband works for a local company as well. So we love hiking. We live right near Mill Mountain. We can access trails right from our backyard. So we spend a lot of time walking, hiking. We have a really wonderful community right there. We walk down to Fork in the Alley. We have the Greenway right there. We sometimes walk on over to Green Goat. That's one of our favorites.
Nice spot. Yeah.
And honestly, I think the brewery district and kind of the revitalization of downtown, as a young person, we went downtown for, Dickens of a Christmas and the art museum and maybe one other time apart from school field trips. But to be able to go down there and socialize and family fun and music and all of that feels like what we found in other cities.
Yeah.
And now we get to find that here. 5 Points, the slew of it. It's been awesome. I honestly feel like 5 years ago, I would have laughed if you told me I'd be back in Roanoke. And now I feel like I could be a spokesperson with
That's what I hear from a lot of people. Yeah. And I especially love that you went to LA and you lived there where you had a lot of amenities at your fingertips. Let's face it. Like, you had a lot of things out there. And to be able to come back and feel just as comfortable and just as well loved and community oriented, and maybe even more so, I'm biased, maybe you even have a bigger, better community now because you're really ingrained in it being a business owner.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really exciting that you're able to have this new experience as somebody who's been here before.
I couldn't speak highly enough about it. And I think that will hopefully only grow with the recent growth with schools and families and medicine and other indries, our outdoors. I'm super excited to see Roanoke in 5, 10, 15 years.
I think you're keyed in just right for it. Okay, so British Swim School, for listeners, where are we sending them to your website?
Awesome. BritishSwimSchool.com/Roanoke-Lynchburg, BSS Roanoke-Lynchburg on Instagram, BSS Roanoke-Lynchburg on Facebook. You can enroll, register right online, or call our office for help, for questions.
Do you do tours or anything like that, just out of curiosity?
We do. Okay. Good question. We don't do tours or trial classes because the progress is our key.
Sure.
But we invite anyone to come and watch and observe a lesson. So our pool doors are open. Simply check in with our staff on the deck, our deck ambassadors, and they'll give you a lay of the land.
Cool.
You can observe, talk to some of our parents and our swimmers. So our doors are open.
That's great. So you can come get inspired, whether it's for your family members or for yourself, and get a little taste of what you're going to experience.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Alice-Ann, thank you so much for being on today. We so appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. British Swim Schools, you guys want to check it out, not just for the Olympics, but it's perfect timing for your vacation planning, your school swimming. I mean, all the things that we've talked about, teach your kid leadership skills, oh my gosh, there are so many benefits to swimming, not just in the pool, but everywhere in the world.
Yes, I agree.
Perfect.
Well
Thank
said.
you so much. Thank you so much for sharing more about British swim schools. I have learned so much that I think you may see me this summer for an adult swim class.
I hope so.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, listeners, you can go to britishswimschool.com/Roanoke-Lynchburg to learn more about this specific location. Of course, britishswimschool.com will lead you to where you need to go for any of the region that you're in.
It will too.
But we can't wait to learn more. Alice Ann, thank you again so much.
Thanks, Liz.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate it. You can catch more over on our website at theroanoker.com.